The one of one is missing.
I knew something was up.
Pop, that's almost twice as much going for the same price.
I just freaking love that Raider rookie logo.
Doing more buy-ins.
Which one of these 5 quarterbacks has the worst set of pass catchers to throw the football to?
Guess how much I sniped this for an auction?
Number to 5, you dirty animal.
I'm telling you, these optic on-card autos are money.
Let's go. His name is Andy. My name is Carter. And coming up, Andy actually went to a card show. He's got one big tip that is very important when it comes to actually taking a family to a card show. We'll tell you all that coming up. But Andy, we want to start off discussing wide receivers and this very interesting Marvin Harrison situation.
Yeah, this really is interesting because I think there's maybe some misconceptions out there. Maybe some people just don't realize what we could potentially be looking at. So my hot take is the Marvin Harrison Jr. rookie cards that are out there, the 240 approximately different ones, each with their own print run. You got some autos, got some regular 2023 Bowman Chrome University first. Those are going to go up in value. I think those are going to double in value, maybe triple in value, depending on how he performs in his rookie season, because I don't think we're going to have anything in a professional uniform or licensed or even any type of remotely licensed trading card for him until maybe 2025, Carter, at this point. That's a long time away. So I think we're potentially looking at a scenario, first time in history, where we don't have anything for this player until maybe his second year in the pros because of the legal proceedings and how fast or how slow, I should say, lawsuits take to go through. Right now, there's a lawsuit between Fanatics and him because he said he never signed a Fanatics agreement, and his camp is sticking to that whole storyline. He never signed a Fanatics agreement his second year in college when they made him an offer. They make players an offer, typically in their sophomore year of college, to sign a certain amount of autographs, whether it's a sticker book or actual cards. There's an NFL player that didn't even get drafted. Kurt, what's his last name? Benkert? That came forward, said he was offered a deal. He was a 2018 undrafted free agent to sign 20,000 cards for $80,000. He's like, I don't have an NIL deal. I mean, I need to make some money. So a lot of players do that, make $80,000. But Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't need to make any money. His dad made approximately $68 million in his NFL career and has been coaching him through this process. Like, oh man, you don't need to sign anything. You don't need the money. Why sign something that takes away your leverage when you're only going to get better? You're only going to get more hyped. Your prices are only going to go up. And so this kind of situation we're in now, Carter, where because he hasn't signed an NFLPA agreement because the NFLPA is in cahoots with Fanatics, that he can't have any jerseys made. He can't have be in the Madden video game. They can't use his name, image, and likeness for anything. And so I don't think there's going to be any more trading cards or anything made until these legal proceedings are done between Fanatics and Marvin Harrison Jr., which means the stuff that's out there is just going to go up in value.
Bowman, you auto collectors unite. I freaking love it. I don't love this situation, though, because, there's going to be so many Marvin Harrison fans out there that are begging for him to be in the product. Also, Andy, I could see this push back release dates even further in theory for products, because there could be some people at Fanatics saying, look, I want to wait to see if something is going to get resolved here. I think a lot of people, Andy, will want to know, and maybe I'm totally wrong on this as you scroll down this Twitter thread from Tyler Webb. what about Panini products? So I'm guessing he can't be in Panini products either unless he signs, the deal with the NFLPA, correct?
Correct. Yeah. If he signs a deal with the NFLPA, then the Panini trading card company has the authorization, the ability to use his name, image, and likeness on their cards. That is also licensed with the NFL. So until that happens, they can't. They're in violation of Marvin Harrison Jr.'s rights.
That is freaking insane. So let's take a few, questions on this. Let's start with Coach B. He says he just got back into the game. Marvin Harrison were the first singles I bought while knowing nothing about modern cards, proving that the wide receiver market is up. Not sure what prompted him to do so. Congrats on that, Coach B. We go to Ryan here, who says Fanatics was apparently not happy that he pulled the curtain back on how all of this works behind the scene. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, they're definitely butthurt. I think when you kind of read between the lines of all this, they're definitely butthurt that he went on the Pat McAfee show and was talking openly about the term sheet. Apparently, like they gave him a term sheet of terms that they were offering him as a sophomore, and he went into some details they clearly weren't happy that he revealed, and that's what led to the litigation that Fanatics started between those, them and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Carter, Marvin Harrison Jr. has got his own website where he's selling his own memorabilia. And this, I'm sure, is in cahoots with his dad and guidance with his agent and his dad and stuff, because you can go to the official harrisoncollection.com, and this is where you buy his autographed jerseys, autographed helmets, footballs. You can buy stuff from his dad here as well, like Super Bowl photo of him and his dad for $100. There's a Colts football signed by his dad as well. So this is his own website.
This would be interesting, though. Let's just say Marvin Harrison is successful, and let's just say that these products actually do well. Well, could we see more athletes just do their own thing, Andy?
I think especially when you have athletes that don't have the need to make money in college, or they don't have that, because like Fanatics, Panini, they come to these players and they offer them these deals in college. Well, it's a great way to make money, but a lot of these players coming out, especially ones that are relatives of former NFL players, like, I don't know, like Shedeur Sanders, another guy, prime example, that I don't see why he would be signing an NIL deal or a Fanatics exclusive deal. It's like Marvin Harrison Jr., because his hype's only going to go up and his value could only go up. And, why take that leverage away from yourself? Because typically these contracts with Fanatics exclusive run into their second year in the NFL. So it's not.
This would be my question, though, is Fanatics owns Topps and Bowman. So why did he sign his college Bowman first stuff? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was a small stint in there, which is interesting because he doesn't have like the same print runs as all the other players. He's only got
Well, that's interesting. Okay, keep going.
He's only got 240 different cards. Whereas you look at like Jermaine Burton, he's got 1,100 different cards, printed in, or Brian Thomas or Malik Neighbors. These guys all have close to 1,100, like between 1,000 and 1,500 different rookie cards. And a lot of those are from Bowman Chrome University. And Marvin Harrison Jr. just has 240.
Wow.
So he doesn't have any 2022 Bowman Chrome University. His first card is in the 2023, and he did get printed in 2023 Bowman Chrome University first and 2023 Bowman Best. And you can see here's an auto from 2023 Super Glow. So there was clearly a small stint where he signed some stuff. Wasn't much, but he signed some stuff in 2023, early 2023.
Yeah, and it's very fascinating. I don't know if we have any super Colts fans from his dad's days, or do we have any super Cardinal fans that watch his channel. I know we do have at least one super Colts fan. I find all of this unfreaking believably fascinating because Andy, most of these athletes just sign the deal. They just do. Hell, who wouldn't want to go have breakfast with Tom Brady and Jay-Z, right? Like the other big fanatic athletes would have done. And Marvin Harrison, known as draft capital and knowing that, a guy who I think is better, Malik Neighbors was there. You would like to think, though, Marvin Harrison would have been there if he would have signed with Fanatics. Those things are cool, right? That you always have access to these super elite parties and whatnot. But, man, I don't know how long he holds out. I'm going to give you one bold opinion, though, Andy.
Okay.
I think something gets resolved here. I think so. Because it behooves Fanatics to not have anyone else do this again, right?
Yeah, no, it really does, because this is costing Fanatics and or Panini a ton of money,
Is it?
of money.
You think so?
Yeah, because now not only are they not making money off of his memorabilia that they could be producing, but they're also paying lawyers and legal fees and all kinds of other stuff to fight him. So it's almost like yeah, they're really dug in deep on this thing. I mean, ultimately, I think they've got what this may set a new precedent for is to present better offers in the first place, or maybe change the way that they do business with these players in college. But I think this is definitely gonna set the precedent for years to come for these players that don't have this super crazy ambition to make all this money as a sophomore in college, and for them to hold on to more of the leverage, and maybe they get better. Maybe they just, Fanatics is going to have to pay more for their contracts if they want to get these players, or maybe that presents an opportunity for Panini to come in and pay more. And, there's some type of a change in the precedent here.
Yeah. And then, as much as we love sports cards, Andy, gaming is way bigger, right? And if he's not in Madden, that would be interesting. I saw someone say, hey, just make him number 81 in Madden and give him the same attributes. As someone who grew up playing NCAA football and is actually selling some of my cards, I sold a good bit of my Jordan Love stuff today. Andy, I got to go buy PS5 to play the new NCAA football video game. And I didn't even know if they make a soccer game anymore. I looked, I was like, they don't even make FIFA anymore, I don't think. But
what?
I don't know. Someone please help me with that. But to stay on topic, I think there is a world, though, Andy, where this could backfire on Marvin himself, right? Let's just say he's just a guy. And I don't think he is, but man, the draft capital being spent on him in underdog drafts, Andy, he is at the 1-2 turn now. At the 1-2 turn in high level leagues, right? He's got a good quarterback. He's got a good situation, he's going into here. But what if he is just like good? Like, let's just say instead of thinking he is the next version of his dad, let's just say he's Pierre Garçon. He's just a decent player. Then, this all could easily backfire. But if he is a stud, I think most people think he's going to be a stud. It is going to be interesting. I really do think, though, because he's not a quarterback, that kind of dilutes all of this. And then, like you said, one of the most interesting situations this next year will be Shedeur Sanders. If he is indeed a first-round quarterback, and he does have probably more leverage of any college athlete going into the NFL, not necessarily because he's good, but because of who he is. So we shall see. Wow. Okay, I just got bad news. There is no more FIFA. Okay, holy crap. I don't even want to do the show anymore. I didn't want to buy the system because I was going to play that more than NCAA. So I won't get into this. Filthy, you have my number. Can you please call me later and break this all down for me? let's say on football cards. So let's go to Mr. T. Will I be able to get $75 for his Bowman first base in a PSA 10? No takers thus far.
Look. Here's the thing, and that card's currently going to be trading around $40 to $50. Here's the thing, if Marvin Harrison Jr. landed in a good spot with Kyler Murray, if Kyler Murray's healthy all season long, he's probably going to throw somewhere close to 4,000 yards. He's the offensive rookie of the year in 2019. This guy's gone on little stretches where he's been an MVP candidate. He's got a good arm, so let's look at let's say, Marvin Harrison Jr. gets 25% of that 4,000 yards. What we need him to get to is about 1,500 receiving yards. If he has a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase like rookie season, I don't care if he's on the Arizona Cardinals, has the smallest fan base. If he's a wide receiver 1 in the NFL today, he is going to be super hyped up. And as a rookie with only 240 different rookie cards, all of a sudden, when nothing else is being printed, those Bowman Chrome University cards with the first logo, the base ones, we could see those get up to $10 to $20 raw and $100 in a PSA 10. We could see the refractors, because if you look at, like, for example, the Justin Jefferson market now is absolutely insane. I'm just thinking from a perspective of timing what's available, and because they're already printing sets like Donruss Elite, you saw they're signing all those cards at the NFLPA premier event last week, and so nothing has even been printed or designed on the computer for Marvin Harrison yet. So I think we're looking at least till the end of the year, which is the majority of the way through his rookie season, and that's why I think when you see even a Super Glow card that's selling for $115 for Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that goes up to $200, $250, because I do think we see him get on the Arizona Cardinals a 20 to 25% target share. I think we see him put up about 1,500 receiving yards in his rookie season, Carter, with, maybe somewhere close to 10 touchdowns. I mean, that would be elite wide receiver category, and it would put him up there. He would be in all the conversations, and that's going to drive a ton of hype for those cards that are out there.
Most Ohio State receivers hit. Olave, Wilson. We'll see what JSN does this year. But Terry McLaurin didn't even get targets at Ohio State, and the dude's a freaking monster for his draft capital and all of that. So, it was a good question a minute ago by, let me make sure I get this right, Craig. So he says, so buy or sell Marvin Harrison. I think if you have him now, wait, because we preseason highlight season's about to come. He's going to make a few like highlight catches in preseason, and there's going to be another spike. So yeah, that's Andy. Let me ask you: would this be a buy or sell opportunity for you right now?
It's a buy. It's a buy. I was actually at a card show over the week, and I went to Tampa Bay Card Show here on Saturday, and I tried to make a couple offers. I talked to a couple of dealers about, there's 2 tables that had some Marvin Harrison Jr. autos, and then we got into the whole saga, the whole story about Marvin Harrison Jr. They were fully aware mostly of what was going on, so they were not budging on those cards at all, and for good reason, man. So he's a buy, like, because I still, right now, especially this week, I think is a vacation week. Kids are out of school. A lot of people are taking vacation. So I know there's a limited number of auctions on eBay, but if they do pop up, there's a good chance that they'll go a little bit undervalued. And even at the current market value, for example, the Bowman Chrome University first non-serial numbered card, if that card ends in auction for under $200, I'm looking at a buy now from May 23rd of $175. I know that sounds steep, but look at the Silver Prism Justin Jefferson, who's obviously got a lot more cards. That card is now $350 raw, Carter. So I'm not, I'm looking at, I don't care how bad the Cardinals are. Marvin Harrison Jr. being a rookie with all the hype and the draft capital he's got around him is going to be insanely hyped up. That's where that's where my rule of the win-loss record is really important. It goes out the window when you're a rookie skill position player and you're making great highlights and you're wide receiver one. That win-loss record doesn't matter. It doesn't apply to you. You're going to be incredibly liquid, incredibly hot, and sell like hotcakes in the market. And so I do think that card goes up in value. I think it gets up to like $300. That's just this is not financial advice, but that's my opinion on the matter.
Ohio State, biggest fan base in the country. I've always believed that. And this comes from an LSU guy. And name recognition. There's some nostalgia tied to, father, son saying, hey, you think he's good? I saw his dad play. It's very, very interesting. Now, and he wanted to actually talk about some of the other wide receivers as well. What has stood out to you when it comes to the pass catcher market?
Yeah, so obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. is a total anomaly and just wild there what's going on. And he's right there in the top tier. But looking at the rest of the tier, I think you've got out of the elite wide receivers, I think there's a couple guys that are pretty obvious, like guys for you to target. And one of those is AJ Brown on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
Speaking of wide receivers that put up these 1,500 receiving yards, I mean, AJ Brown, the past 2 years since he was traded to Philly, we always knew he was an explosive talent. But since he's traded to Philly, he's put up over 1,400 receiving yards. He stayed healthy, knock on wood, and the guy had almost 2,000 air yards last year, and he's still separating at an elite level. You look at his juke rate, he's top 3 wide receiver in the NFL and juke rate. Okay. And the guy is rookie ticket auto has become pretty rare, but I've seen some people get some pretty insane prices. Like if you can find that card for around $100, I still think that's a great buy. And then if you look at his non-auto cards, you have optic hollows for around $15. Compare that to Justin Jefferson's at $50. And Justin Jefferson's got over 1,000 additional different types of rookie cards. Even a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown from 2021, or if you look at, let's pick another one, Jamar Chase from 2021, who's got over 4,000 different rookie cards with their own print run. He's got a $15 to $20 optic hollow now, Carter. What? Why is AJ Brown so cheap? I get there's a difference in like uniform apparel on the artwork between the Titans and the Eagles, but still the rookie card's the main focus, and that's still too cheap for me. So he stands out right off the bat, Carter.
Yeah, the only thing, and this is me just being like a jerk here, I hate the 2019 optic hollows. I like basically like everything else. I hate the design of it. I wish the 2018 Raider rookie with the portrait, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen looking into the future with the ball like that. You can't freaking beat it. But yeah, I do agree. Andrew Jackson's still a first-round pick on Underdog Fantasy. The thing that kind of scares me, Andy, is I have not drafted him at all. Like if I'm in that spot, like I keep taking Puka Nacua over him. I've taken Garrett Wilson over him. So I'm afraid he's going to burn me. So I might need to get exposure to his football cards as collateral. Because if he does go off, then obviously his stuff goes up.
Week 1 shootout, Carter. I know a lot of focus on best ball and Underdog Fantasy is weeks 15 through 17 when you have the playoffs. But week 1, this year is new than other years. They have a Friday night football game. Friday night, week 1, after the Ravens open the season against the Kansas City Chiefs. Then they go Friday night, Green Bay at Philly. And Phil, okay, let's face it. I know Philly's drafted some depth, and you could probably speak to the defensive backs that they drafted much better than I can, Carter. And they tried to fill in some holes there because they've got some really aging veterans in their defensive secondary. But coming down the stretch last year, they had one of the worst defensive secondaries. So Friday night football opening up against the Green Bay Packers are coming off red hot. Jordan Love playing aggressive, throwing the ball the deep A-dot. And now they get a Friday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think we start out week 1 with fireworks. It could be a 3-touchdown A.J. Brown game right there in the works. You know, it's chemistry with Jalen Hurts. I mean, these guys are like best buds, man. And I think we're seeing the potential ceiling, the 1900 air yards. What we didn't see last year was the crazy amount of touchdowns. He only had 7 touchdowns. And I think he's easily capable of putting up double-digit touchdown. And we've seen those games where he's just taking the top off of defenses left and right, and you're just like, what? And just melting faces. So we could get that week 1. I'm like super pumped about that Friday night game because I think it's going to be even better than the Thursday night game. I'm looking at like the Ravens and Chiefs. I'm like, this is going to start off slow. And then I look at the Packers and the Eagles on Friday night. I'm like, that's the game I want to target.
Let's go. Also, I think DK Metcalf's very interesting. You know, his prices are about the same. The added benefit of going after DK Metcalf in that draft class is he's still in his Seahawks number 14 uniform. So it adds to it. I just checked the double check this. His optic hollows are going for about the same. And since we have such a heavy Seahawks chat, and, you know, if you don't mind, to our chatters, please don't clog it. Don't go message after message after message. We want to get as many differentiating opinions in there. So if you are going to send a message in the chat, just make it like a clump, not like 1,000 different ones. But with that said, I think Sam Howell is very interesting, Andy. That's a guy you get asked about quite a bit as a backup quarterback. And one thing we like to do on this channel is target backup quarterback situation. So I want to ask you, do you think Sam Howell eventually takes over the starting job over Geno Smith this year?
Yeah, I think it's a real possibility. I mean, it's not like they need to see what they got in Geno Smith. They know what we got. I mean, he's had some nice little stretches, and he definitely turned his career around. But, I mean, let's face it, he's not on a rookie contract. It's like, I think if he starts playing really bad, or he could just get banged up. You know, Geno Smith got banged up a couple times last year, and you bring in Sam Howell, I think it offers some nice upside, and people are definitely his prices would go up pretty quick because he's still really young, you know, and so he's still got a lot of that like FOMO type of, you know, market out there where people are like, oh, we're going to miss out, you know, Sam Howell in Seattle, he's all of a sudden he's going to be great and everything. So yeah, I think that buying him now makes a lot of sense to have a little bit of exposure, especially if you get like a rookie ticket auto for like 100, something like around that. And you might be able to pick him up for a little bit cheaper than that right now in certain auctions. And I like maybe grabbing it if you want to do more entry-level Sam Howell stuff, go for the True Prism Silver. Try and, you know, get one for like $5 or something. I mean, it's totally doable. And then you can maybe get that graded, you know, test out your pre-grading skills, get that graded, you get that at 10. Now all of a sudden you got a card with some nice upside in the market, very liquid, and you can kind of attack that a couple ways, get some nice little exposure. Makes sense.
One thing I would be careful with, I actually went and looked at Sam's market. I went and saw 2 cracked ice Sam Howell sell for $780 each. Ooh. I would always, and I think that is a somewhat fair price for a rare card. I mean, cracked ice for Sam Howell will always be one of the more coveted cards for him. But if you're buying that to flip it, I would never, for a backup quarterback, buy to flip a $780 card. Because with all the taxes and all the stuff that gets added on to that, it's really hard to like really flip and realize the value that you think that card could go to. Maybe I'm totally wrong on that. But, you know, if he becomes a good starter, that card goes for $1,500 to $2,000. So take the risk as you see it. But I am always of the belief if you're going to do the backup QB thing, Andy, I would stay anywhere in that $30 to $90-ish range for backup quarterback hunting.
Yeah, me too. You know, you have a lot more downside whenever you're picking up a card that's worth that much. But, you know, those cracked ice rookie ticket autos are more or less a grail card for most people. I mean, that card is highly, highly coveted as a grail card. I mean, it's up there with the case hits, you know, so you have to kind of put it next to, you know, a Color Blast or a Downtown or even a Kaboom, which is, you know, in terms of case hits, that one would be at the top. So, excuse me, you have to put it up there with those to see what, you know, kind of what you're paying for it, see if it makes sense, you know. But it's just going to be a liquid card. But typically, yeah, like most people, you're going to see the majority of transactions pop off like in that $100 to $150 range for a quarterback that gets a starting opportunity, that's young, that had previously had a bunch of cards that were selling in that 30 to 50, like you mentioned, range for autos. And then all of a sudden they spike up, and you know, that's what you're looking to do, kind of flip them for a double, triple. And that's where most people's like comfort level is on a, you know, impulse buy type of situation.
Matt Pat wants to know your thoughts, Andy, on Rome Odunze.
Well, to me, Rome Odunze is like, okay, a guy that, yeah, if I got lucky and I was able to be to get early on the Panini RPS first look, like to buy them at retail prices on their website, yeah, I'm totally in on that. He's got all those cards. His college uniform rookie auto is very expensive, a little bit too expensive for what I like. Ultimately, I really like buying DJ Moore right now because I think the presence of an elite talent, a rookie talent, has drawn a lot of attention. And then you also bring in like a trusty veteran in Keenan Allen. And it's like, okay, there's a lot of attention on these guys, but DJ Moore has still shown that he is an elite superstar in the NFL. Since he's been traded to Chicago, that's worked out very well. So I still think that he's going to be one of those guys that's going to have those massive 3/4 touchdown spike games. There's going to be the at least 1,000 receiving yards there. And so you don't know. I mean, a lot of the attention is on the rookies, Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, you know, and DJ Moore is still going to command. He's going to command those targets just because he's going to get open. So if Caleb is worth his weight at all, he is going to be giving DJ Moore at least 15 to 20% target share, because he's going to command it. He's going to get open. You know what I'm saying? So I'm actually taking the opportunity to buy 2018, which you just mentioned. You love 2018 optic product, DJ Moore on the cheap, and take that route.
It is interesting that DJ Moore has always been good, and now he finally gets some of the best quarterback play he's ever had. So I'm with you. I like DJ Moore a lot. I've been drafting him, you know, quite a bit. Yeah, it concerns me. Keenan's there, Rome is there, and I think Rome is pretty solid. I do. I don't think he's on the same tier as Harrison or Malik, but I think he is really, really, really solid. Let's go to Wheezy Baby. He started a firestorm here chatting about Russell Wilson, Andy.
Man, this Steelers. So the Steelers are really interesting because they bring in Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. And, you know, he ran one of the most run-heaviest teams the past couple of years in the Atlanta Falcons. Before that, he was the offensive coordinator for the Titans. So he comes in here to Pittsburgh, and ultimately, we know it runs through Mike Tomlin. But Mike Tomlin, I'm sure, has no problem, especially if they're in a positive game script situation, to lean on the run game of Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, you know, as their satellite back. They've made a ton of investments in the offensive line the past 2 years. So I think a lot of what you're going to see here is going to set up like the play action passes and stuff for Russell Wilson, which he historically has been good at, right, Carter? So,
Right.
You know, they draft Roman Wilson, and you've got George Pickens, who's just like, he's a freak. He's an athletic freak. I think he's an awesome wide receiver who's grown a lot. He's going to continue growing. You know, I just think the volume is going to be low. I do like the week 1 matchup. They're playing the Falcons in Atlanta. You got to love that storyline there, you know? So when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's an exciting matchup. Everybody's going to be watching that because of what the Falcons have done this offseason. And the Steelers, there's just a massive fan base. So it's going to be a big game week 1. You got to love the schedule makers for putting that one together.
Yeah, what's interesting, and more from a football card perspective here, Russell Wilson is the guy from the 2012 class, as is Kirk Cousins. He was also a part of the 2012 class. And if you are a football card fan, you know that's a first year Prism. So Russell Wilson will always be a valuable kind of hobby guy if you are a diehard like football card fan. Um, I think Russell Wilson is good for George Pickens, right? Russell Wilson does not throw over the middle of the field. Uh, George Pickens, that's not really his game either. He is a go get it guy outside, a true X. So it is very, very interesting. And Andy is showing you right now the rookie ticket market. I remember when this rookie ticket auto for Russell, no less than $1,000 card every time, and
Yeah.
now going for 330.
Yeah, he was in that Herbert Burrow range, and yeah, now he's just come way, way, way down. So there's definitely upside, and you see people buying just like I think they're basically like there's no way this card can go any lower because it's come down so much. It's come down like 10 times what it was worth at the height of his 2021 market when he signed with the Denver Broncos, and so. Yeah, it's come down so much. I wonder how much Russ would have to do, how many games and how many wins he'd have to string together with the Steelers out of the gate. First of all, he's got to win the starting job. As much as they say he's got the starting job, I know the Mike Tomlin, and they're like kind of built around loyalty, and they like to. It feels like they do like to give a longer leash to the established veteran. But at the same time, if Russell starts laying goose eggs and starts throwing picks or turning the ball over, when that crowd starts chanting for Justin Fields and stuff, they're going to put him in. They're going to make the switch and put him in to see, because they got both of these guys for super cheap. So it's like if you're buying Russell Wilson, you got to be buying Justin Fields too. Why would you not? Because then you hedge your bets, because I don't think it's any guaranteed thing that Russell Wilson's going to come out here and play good.
I sometimes ask myself this question, Andy: who has more to prove? And never in a gazillion years has there been a situation where the backup had so much more to prove than the starter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Russell Wilson probably will be a Hall of Famer. It'll be a controversial one. And also Russell Wilson has mostly been paid for the season, as the Steelers got an insane discount on him this year. And Justin Fields has not had that massive payday like Russell Wilson has had in the past. He is a backup quarterback still trying to find his voice. He goes back to, Big Ten country where he played his college ball, even though he is from Georgia. So Justin Fields just has so much more to prove. And I understand Russell wants to, put down the naysayers. He wants to stick it to the Broncos for just throwing them to the curb. I'm not saying he's not motivated. It's just that Russell's career is already solidified. I mean, it's already cantoned, if you will, where Justin Fields, he absolutely needs.
You're muted, brother.
Oh, it should it should be very interesting. Weezy Baby says he is in on Justin Fields and he hated him.
Yeah, a guy's fighting for a future starting job in the NFL. So I would imagine he is willing to, at this point, even take a role on special teams, some way to contribute to the teams. He should be chomping at the bits for every single opportunity, even taking handoffs or punt returns or kick returns.
Which has also been rumored, which would be crazy. It is also interesting for me. I had Justin Fields as the number one quarterback in his class, but I was not on fire about any of them. I've always been kind of in the middle. Like if you ever actually go break down Trevor Lawrence's college career, you begin to see that it is very, very, very good, right? But it wasn't like legendary. Like is he a national champion? Yes. That Clemson team was ridiculous. They won't win it without Trevor, though. I'm not putting down Trevor in terms of his college career. It was great. But if you actually break it down, Fields was a better college quarterback than Trevor Lawrence in my mind. And I liked him better as a prospect, but I really wasn't like in love with the whole lot of the 2021 class. And you can go back. I mean, we've been doing the show that long. I wasn't really, you can check the receipts on that. But it goes back to what we always say about football cards, Andy. We need the quarterbacks in the draft classes to do well. It's better for the hobby. It gets people more excited. And the fact that Trevor and Justin just stunk out of the gates, and we kind of know what we know about Mac, and we know what we know about Trey Lance, and we know what we know about the other quarterbacks, Zach Wilson. It's kind of sad. We need those guys to play well.
No, we really do. I look at Chris Olave as a prime example of a guy that right now has got a raw Silver Prism auto for 60, a Silver Prism rookie ticket auto for 75, and the non-auto cards are under $10. And I think what's holding him back here is Derek Carr in New Orleans. You know, I mean, especially now with no Michael Thomas, you'd think his ADP would go up. I definitely think he's shown that his ceiling can be incredibly high, but yet his market is hurting because of a lack of quarterback hype. Let's say, you know, Derek Carr has been solid, but let's say lack of quarterback hype. Same thing with Garrett Wilson, right? Like he's like starting to go back up a little bit, but there's definitely been a dip ever since Rodgers got hurt. And I think it's going to take people who are going to react to Rodgers being healthy, and they're opening up against San Francisco Monday Night Football week 1 this year. It's going to take that performance to get back to Garrett Wilson melting faces for his prices to go back into that, you know, let's say Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown type territory. Even Garrett Wilson right now, his raw Silver Prism auto, rookie auto, $90, the rookie ticket auto, $75. I was surprised at that. I'm like, okay, right now, I would think he'd be a little bit higher, but the hobby, generally speaking, is very reactive, Carter, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Once again, please don't send 1,000 messages in the chat. Let the live chat breathe. Off grid and please. Like, it's not so much the cursing is that you're sending 1,000 messages and there's others trying to get their messages in. You know, I will say this, and I have brought this up, Andy. Once again, you know, the Power Hour brand, which is, you know, my livelihood. I'm part of the nooffseason.com network as well. And I have made this point on a lot of the different videos I've cut recently. It still amazes me, like, how much Trey Lance cards still go for. and I have made this comparison, and you could see the full comparison. Go to my NFC quarterback rankings on Power Hour NFL. But I looked up a Matthew Stafford rare number /25 rookie autograph, and it still goes for roughly $30 to $40 less than Trey Lance's number /25 rookie autos. It is insane to me that people still believe in a guy. And the funny thing about Trey Lance is he has barely played. Like, he only started 1 year of college football. He didn't have like a gazillion high school snaps. He doesn't have a whole lot of pro snaps either. There's never been a guy that has gotten so much money, so much fanfare for playing football, you know, the least. Like, it is very, very interesting. And anyway, I will go to the grave saying this. Matthew Stafford is still the quarterback in this hobby that I've never quite understood why more people just aren't on fire about him. It is still ridiculous. Like, you could build a pretty nasty Matthew Stafford card, compare him to like some other legendary quarterbacks. You could do it considerably cheaper.
He's the classic veteran case study because it's the classic, like, the veteran that has to do so much more to get his prices to go up. He literally had to go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. That's what drove the spike. There was a spike there where I was like, whoa, yeah, I remember talking about it. The Bowman Chrome refractors are getting up to $100 raw, and his rookie autos were going for a couple $100. If he was a rookie doing that, like with the time when he was going against Joe Burrow, those same cards for Joe Burrow were worth 2-3 times as much, easy. And Joe Burrow has, 3 to 4 times the amount of different rookie cards than him, so it is very much a focus and an increased demand on the younger you are. That's why in our hype index, in our hype algorithm, we have baked in age of the player, draft year of the player, because those are big factors when determining like how much hype they're going to get from any given performance or media event that that creates hype.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people under this video will explain, well, Carter, it's because it's what you can do, right? But that's the point. Is Trey Lance sucks? He sucks. We know he sucks. And Matthew Stafford is a damn wizard. Like I'm so serious. If you were to take Matthew Stafford's 20 best throws, like his craziest throws, his mixtape clears everyone. Like his just throws. I'm not talking about the whirling dervisher stuff. Just no look throws. Dude is no look throwing on Super Bowl game winning drives. The dude is redunculous. And I really like the Rams going into next year. I wish Aaron Donald ran it one more time because like I would love him even more because of that. But Byron Young's a very interesting young player for them on that pass rush, and they invested a lot of capital on the defensive line. Man, Matthew is just crazy. And my favorite stat. Let me ask you this. Now, it's not even a football card thing, but it kind of sort of is. Who is a better all-time quarterback, Andy? Is it Russell Wilson or is it Matthew Stafford?
I'm going with Matthew Stafford on that for sure.
Easy. Like I think at this point it's easy. Now, what I would say though is Russell's peak might have been better, like his absolute peakiest peak, because he was legit like the MVP leader in one of those Pete Carroll years. But Stafford's better. But the Pro Bowls disparity is crazy. I think Russell's been to 9 Pro Bowls, Andy, and Stafford's been to 2. 2, which is nuts. It's a crazy disparity. But I can't sing the praises of Matthew Stafford enough. Absolutely enough. I saw him in New York one time and asked him to chug a beer with me, but he wouldn't do it. It was crazy. But we want before we get to hobby tip of the week, we want to shout out nooffseason.com. Big shout out to Paul Hickey and the crew. The Sports Card Strategy Show is an awesome show, and we are proud to be a part of their network. Andy, hobby tip of the week. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so I took my kids and my wife to a card show, the Tampa Bay Card Show, over this past weekend. It was kind of a spontaneous, last minute thing. I had some free time. It was like 10:30, 11. It was Holiday Inn, West Shore, like close to the airport here in Tampa. It was a small card show. It was probably 80 tables or less. It was it's a normal size room, but fairly small card show, like kind of one loop around. But, like I said, we took my son around 11 a.m. and he was just didn't have the patience for it. So for reference, he's 5 years old. So my hobby tip is if your child is probably 5 or under, that's probably the cutoff where they're a little bit too young to take to a card show because they don't have the patience for you to stand there and talk to the dealers and actually examine the cards closely and negotiate those deals and like take your time at each table. He was like, I get to a table and I start to look at something and he's tugging my hand to go to the next table, and so he was ready to go. He did make a deal on a Pikachu Pokemon card. I gave him a little bit of cash to go into it. So we had a great time. I thought it was a great experience. So shout out to the guys that run that. And I'll definitely be going back. And I shout out to Michael Ham. He was there talking to the Tampa card shop guys. And so it was a great experience. It was a fun time. I talked to a couple of dealers there about a pink, Marvin Harrison Jr. I was trying to wheel and deal on that a little bit, but those guys weren't budging at all. They wanted 285 on the pink, which if you look on eBay, the PSA 9 for that card's 220. But both of them were aware of the Fanatics Marvin Harrison Jr. Saga. So neither one of those guys were budging now. So, yeah, it's a good time. But that's my hobby tip of the week. I will say this, Carter, and one more hobby tip. CGC had a table there. They're accepting in-person submissions for grading. Their bulk submission has actually gone down right now, 25 cards or more. Bulk submission down to $9.60 per card. The declared value of the raw card can be up to $250. So that is a fantastic deal. So fantastic deal. And so their normal economy submission right now is $12 per card, and there's no like cap on you don't have to submit a minimum amount of cards. It's not a bulk, it's a standard economy submission, and the declared value is up to, I think, $1,000. I want to say it's $1,000 or $1,500, and that's on the raw card. So you're not going to get upcharged like PSA on the return, insurance, and shipping and stuff. It's a flat fee from CGC. It's already built in. It's like $25 return shipping FedEx or $125 return shipping overnight FedEx with the signature required. You can select between those two options, but their turnaround times are fantastic. Grading consistency is fantastic. The sold data is like growing, so just wanted to shout that out as well.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Like if I was wanting to PC and just slab a bunch of my cards. So if it's, you said $9.69 for a 25 batch,
$9.60 per card, 25 cards.
Crazy.
Yeah,
so
yeah, great.
You factor in like the shipping and all that. That's what, $270 total for 25 PC cards to be slab. I'm taking that all day. I mean, that is like, if you don't care about resale and you just want the cards, and even then, CGC has some potential in the resale market. That sounds interesting to me. And once again, I obviously the CGC money goes towards Andy. I'm happy to see him succeed, but this comes from someone that's not getting anything from CGC. That really does interest me. If I can get 25, like if I just have 25 cards that I just love, and I'm a big keep it in a one-touch guy, but if I'm like, man, it would be nice to slab all of them. $250 is actually a pretty good deal from like a professional company. So I get down with that, Andy. I do.
They are a professional company. I found this situation, speaking of wide receivers, like we're talking about today. Here's a situation with Devontae Adams where the CGC 10 did quite well. Actually, did better here in this case than the PSA 10. Now we do have an auction for the PSA 10 versus a buy it now for the CGC 10, but this is a well-recognized company. It's a professional company. It's backed by the largest coin and paper grading companies in the world. They've only been grading sports cards since 2021, so they finally got their sports card identity and brand dialed in. And you can see here, the CGC 10 rookie ticket auto Devontae Adams went for $200, which is more than the BGS 9.5 and more than the PSA 10.
Interesting. Okay. I see what you're doing, CGC. I see it. Okay. So India, my hobby tip of the week kind of goes along with your card show stuff. I would say 5 years old. Yeah, it's very young. And T. Raj, the collector, follows up. I think I took my 5-year-old to a card show. He was excited for the Pokemon cards and left 5 minutes and wanted to leave.
That's exactly. Yeah, this is exactly what happened here with me. But I also took my 9-year-old daughter, who totally has the patience for it, and she's like pumped to go back because she had the patience for it, and once she understood the art of negotiation and examining the cards raw in person and stuff, she's absolutely hooked. And so, I think that's kind of like the sweet spot there. They're like 9-10 years old, but 5, it just didn't have the patience for it, especially right before lunchtime.
Yeah, so that was going to be my follow-up. Like, Andy, I've set up at shows for a while now, but I've only done it at one specific show. And there's another one coming up June 29th in Shreveport. We had one of our patrons actually drive up to the show from Houston, and
Nice.
that was so freaking cool. And he bought my favorite card in my collection. And crap, his name slips my mind. He's one with the Jose Altuve avatar. Come on, Andy.
Hector?
You're
You're talking
about
Joel Garza.
Joe Garza, that's his name.
And
he bought my favorite card in my collection. So, coming to the shows, it's great. But I've now set up at this same show for this is coming up on my 5th time doing it, and my favorite people that come up are the kids in that $10 to $15 range, because sometimes they're by themselves, but sometimes they're also with a parent, and those kids are learning real world stuff when they are there. Just the simple art of supply and demand and negotiation and all of that. That is very, very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want anyone to take what Andy said wrong. 5 years old is too young. But that next year, because Andy, you and I were at the National, our jaws were to the floor looking at these kids making ridiculous deals, like absolutely ginormous, like $2,000-$3,000 deals. I'm like, this is insane for like a 13-year-old kid to be doing it. So I think if a kid is in that range and he's an adult, one thing you could do is give him $100 cash and see what he could do, and see, and that way they can learn, shopping, right? Shopping for a car can be kind of sort of like shopping for a car, in many ways. Here's $100. See what you can do with it, right? Go test the market, especially at a car show. Obviously, the scales are completely different, but there you go. Andy, we'll take a few more before we get to play of the week. We got a lot of Danny Dimes questions coming in, led by Family Burliner. So Daniel Jones, Andy.
Well, he's got your guy Malik Neighbors. So if there's any weapon from the draft that would definitely help him out this year, it's gonna be Neighbors. He's naturally the most explosive athlete in the draft this year in terms of wide receivers. But yes, I mean, I look at it this way: Daniel Jones cards are so insanely cheap now. I haven't heard any recent news other than like, yeah, he's on track to start. He'll be fine. But he's had this recurring neck injury now, I think twice. And the guy does run quite a bit in the offensive system. I think he's got a lot of upside at the current prices, but I think so does Drew Lock. And I think there definitely was a lot of, dangling this carrot over Drew Lock. Like, this is going to be an open competition in preseason. You'll be able to potentially win the starting job. If you look at Drew Lock, a very similar draft capital to Daniel Jones from 2019. Drew Lock has had some moments, although he's thrown quite a few interceptions in his time as well, but he's had moments where, yeah, he's got some decent athleticism and he can rip it. So I'm interested, actually, if you're going to buy Daniel Jones, I think you should definitely be buying Drew Lock. I actually think Drew Lock is a pretty decent backup quarterback / sleeper quarterback that's going to potentially start. And with him being on a new team, the fans could gravitate to him quicker if he does get a start, kind of like, Mike White used to in New York whenever he filled in for Zach Wilson. So, it's kind of where I'm at on it.
Whew. Drew Lock is a likable guy. Who can't forget, Andy, the Monday Night Football interview that he did after throwing the ball to JSN? You remember this, or am I just imagining this?
No, I don't remember exactly the interview, but I remember that game.
Drew Lock is fascinating to me. I think he's got some juice. I really do. And Daniel Jones is just kind of mid. The thing is, Andy, and this is my hottest hottest take that ended up being correct, and I got flamed for it at the time. The Buffalo Bills screwed up this entire dynasty run because they were scared to not do what was right, which was fire Sean McDermott and keep the New York Giants head coach Brian Daboll. And if Brian Daboll was still with the Bills, Josh Allen would have won a Super Bowl in one of these years. I think Brian Daboll is that good of a coach. Now, does he come off a bit asshole-ish? Sure. But Brian Daboll is a quarterback whisperer, and we know Daniel Jones is terrible. I don't know if I'm ready to say that about Drew Lock. I don't know if I'm ready to get there. So Drew Lock is someone that very much interests me. Andy, I might be just totally overrating Brian Daboll, right? Because, when I tweeted that out, it was not well received. They're like, well, Sean McDermott's great. No, Josh Allen's great. Josh Allen's a cyborg. Am I wrong here about Brian Daboll? Because if I truly believe Daboll is a great coach, why wouldn't I be interested in Drew Lock at this point?
Well, the thing is, we all admitted that, and we all realized that in 2022, the first year he came to the Giants, and he actually took them to the playoffs, and they made it to the second round of the playoffs in his first year. Didn't he win Coach of the Year in 2022? Yeah. And so he wins Coach of the Year, and we all admitted that. Okay, he was a huge part of the success for the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, and then he comes into the Giants. He takes them to the playoffs their first year. Daniel Jones' cars actually went up quite a bit throughout that 2022 season. They go to the playoffs, second round of the playoffs, and then they come into 2023 with a lot more expectations. And then it was just one thing after another. In 2023, started off terribly bad against, it was the Cowboys opening weekend, and they just got everything went wrong for them, turnovers, you name it, and got just blown out. And it was just, after that, it was just getting worse. It was like insult to injury. And so I think you could see a lot of frustration last year for Brian Daboll, the whole Giants organization. So now the expectations are super low, like they're this bad team. But I do think Brian Daboll is an incredible coach. If anybody can pull a team together to exceed expectations, it's going to be him. So, I think that Giants players are cheap, and they definitely make sense betting on to exceed expectations, Carter. And so from that standpoint, like the cards are so cheap. They get Minnesota at home week 1. They go to Washington, play Jaden Daniels week 2, and then they get New England at home Thursday Night Football week 3. If by some miracle they beat Minnesota week 1 and they beat Washington week 2, and they're now 2-0 hosting the Patriots on Thursday Night Football, we could definitely see some price increases on whoever that starting quarterback is for the Giants this year.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear. As someone who watched more Malik Neighbors than any human maybe on the planet Earth that's not like an actual coach or player, y'all are about to be amazed how freaking good this guy is at football. He's going to be doing some shit next year. They're going to be like, whoa, I didn't think a wide receiver could do that. To me, he is in the Jamar Justin territory in terms of being that good. And I will say it. He had a better career than either of them. Now, he didn't have like a legendary season like both of them did in 2019, but his overall body of work, this just comes from someone that's, and I know what a lot of people are going to say, well, Carter, he's going to have crappy quarterback play, and he had Jaden Daniels at LSU, which is true. But Jaden Daniels, his first year as a starter at LSU, wasn't what he was his second year, right? Malik made some stupid catches in the first year with Jaden Daniels. And Andy, I don't know if you know a whole lot about like quarterback mechanics. I don't. I have like some knowledge of it. But Jaden threw a lot of wobblers in his first year at LSU. And Malik caught some unfreaking believably difficult catches. And Jaden obviously worked on his mechanics. And Jaden is now one of the more clean throwers of the football. It is a work of art. And Malik benefited from that. And he also benefited from BTJ stepping up. But I'm just telling you, Malik Neighbors is about to like blow y'all's minds how freaking good this guy is at football. And it will make everyone go to Jim Harbaugh, the Los Angeles Chargers, say, you stupid freaking idiot. We settled with Lad freaking McConkey, and we could have had freaking Malik Neighbors. He was sitting right there for us, our generational wide receiver. But
yeah,
we'll see. Joe Alt might be the next freaking Joe Thomas. I don't know.
I think he's going to be good, but it's like, yeah, I look at Neighbors. The only reason why his values are as low as they currently are is because of the quarterback questions here.
Right.
So it's like, and that's very short term. Like the Giants could end up with a top draft pick next year. All of a sudden, they change their quarterback situation totally around. And Malik Neighbors is like one of the most hyped up wide receivers entering his second year because the film in his rookie season is like, dear God, this guy's going to be an NFL superstar. So I think you ride out the early bumps with him and he's a buy/hold right now for sure.
I want to take one more before we get to play of the week. Zone Talks Live, all right, dropped Malik Benson. So at first I was like, okay, he's asking about Trey Benson of Florida State, or he was talking about Malik Neighbors, and I thought he meant to say LSU. But Malik Benson, I totally forgot, transferred to Florida State. So Andy Malik Benson is a freak at wide receiver. And he was a JUCO guy who spent this last year at Alabama, got buried on the depth chart. But now he's at Florida State, offensive mastermind head coach at Florida State, who's really good. And DJ Uiagalelei, the 5-star quarterback, transfers over to Florida State. And I don't think he's that good, but Gabe Davis in our chat thinks otherwise. He and I have gone back and forth on DJU a gazillion times. So Andy, DJU was a 5-star quarterback in the same class as Bryce Young. And they were high school rivals. And there was a big debate going into college who was going to be better, Bryce Young or DJU. There was a legit debate. They were head and shoulders above everyone else. And obviously it turned out to be Bryce Young and CJ Stroud from that class instead of Bryce and DJU. But a lot of people think he's good now at Florida State. I went and looked, and I was like, yeah, Malik Benson was in Bowman U. His stuff is really cheap right now. So if you believe Malik Benson could step in and be the number one receiver at Florida State immediately, go right on ahead, because we saw what they did last year with wide receivers. Keon Coleman, obviously second-round pick. Johnny Wilson, with a 6th-round pick. So if you believe that, Malik Benson might be a really good play. And look, I'm telling you, I actually looked at the prices. He got it for $2. $2, Malik Benson, first refractor.
Nice.
And he was the number one wide receiver recruit in the country as a JUCO guy. The number one transfer portal JUCO receiver was Malik Benson. So obviously he can play. So we'll see what he does at Florida State. $2 is always a buy for me.
Yeah, that's easy money at $2. Hold that.
But Andy, it's time for play of the week. I'll let you go first. Go right on ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so mine's going to be a wide receiver. It's actually a specific card here for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay.
Like there's no secret that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a quarterback proof guy. I mean, chain mover deluxe, right? And he's going to consistently put up that 1,500-yard performances with some touchdowns in there. He's incredibly hyped up. His rookie ticket autos raw go for $100. So he's in that top tier with guys like Jamar Chase, guys like A.J. Brown. Puka Nacua is a totally different story. But Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Chris Olave is a little bit cheaper. But what is significantly cheaper for Amon-Ra St. Brown for whatever reason is his optic hollow. So my play this week is specifically the Amon-Ra St. Brown optic hollow for $10 or less, because his true Prism Silver Raw is $40. Okay. And typically what we see is the optic hollow is half of the Prism Silver. But in Amon-Ra's case, and I've seen multiple sold transactions to justify that saying this, is gone for $10 or a little bit less. And so I think that's a play because when you look at Jamar Chase's true silver prism raw selling for $30 and the optic hollow going for 15 to 20, that right there shows you upside because Amon-Ra St. Brown only has 2,795 different rookie cards compared to Jamar Chase's 4,446. So there's a lot fewer Amon-Ra St. Brown rookie cards out there. So inherently the optic hollow should be worth more. So I think right now is an opportunity on the optic hollow for Amon-Ra St. Brown at $10 or less. And that's my play of the week.
Interesting. Andy, I want to ask you about Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, are you just out on him? Are you trying to see a little bit more here?
Well, I think he's a buy and hold. I just think there's the target competition on that team is so steep with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett ahead of him that I just don't think he's going to be able to carve out a wide receiver one role until Tyler Lockett retires or moves on or something. So, or his play really declines because right now Tyler Lockett's still demanding a lot of targets, man. He's a good separator, very good route runner. So I think that's the issue you're dealing with there in JSN.
Man, I don't know if I get burned on this. Obviously, we don't talk a whole lot about tight ends on this channel. For good reason, right? Tight end markets are weird. You have, this Brady-like superstar in Travis Kelce, and then it's just kind of everybody else at this point in terms of the hobby. Man, I love watching Washington's offense, right? It's part of the reason why I'm not really a big Michael Penix guy, because the Washington Husky offense last year, Andy, will be forgotten about because they didn't win the Natty. That is an all-time great offense. And their play caller goes to the Seahawks, right? Ryan Grubb. I think Ryan Grubb is a very, very, very creative play caller. Now, how much of it was him or how much of it was the new Alabama coach, I don't know. I know it's a tough thing to decipher. But I am loving this Seahawks offense. I really am. And one thing that they did a really good job of at Washington was getting tight ends wide open, easy targets, just easy, wide open guys. So Noah Fant is interesting. Rookie autos for like $2 if you really want to get bottom of the barrel cheap. Noah Fant is one of my most drafted players in Underdog Fantasy right now. I thought he was going to get dealt for a while. Maybe they do get rid of him. But I am buying Noah Fant having maybe a little bit of a breakout. And it might not even be him being good. It just could be them just scheming him wide open. So we'll see what happens there. So Noah Fant, I'll roll with that play of the week. Trey McBride, Andy, was a play of the week for me last year. That was my last tight end play of the week. And that turned out to be obviously very good because Trey McBride is the number 2 dynasty tight end right now. So let's go, Noah Fant. Don't make me look stupid here.
Yeah, he's a good athlete, man. And I love this final 3 weeks schedule here for Seattle is pretty sick. It's Green Bay Sunday Night Football in Seattle, and then it's Minnesota in Seattle, and then it's Seattle at Chicago on Thursday Night Football. All right, I see you, Carter. I see you.
Look, what is the one thing I know about college football? Go get your wide receivers from Ohio State or LSU, and go get your tight ends from Iowa. That's all
There
you
you go.
And Noah Fant is a Hawkeye. Okay, Iowa, they will produce once in a generation women's basketball players and tight ends. That's what they're known for, baby. So if you do that, go profit. Andy, do you want to take a few more? Or do you want to call it?
I do got to get out of here, Carter, for another call in 9 minutes. But we could take one more if you want.
All right. Hector wants to know, is nose tackle almost sold out. I'm kidding. His National Treasure is almost out.
Is NT almost out? Release dates, man, release dates. So yeah, optic retail has been very hard to find, almost non-existent for at least in, I'm sure, most major cities. Yeah, I'm not. I think the last time I checked, we looked at the release. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pulling it up real quick.
Okay, while you pull it up, I'll go rapid fire here. Matt Pat says, "What do I think about Jackson Dart?" Well, believe it or not, Matt Pat, one of our sharpest viewers, Mr. Gabe Davis, who you see in the chat, has been the heaviest buyer of Jackson Dart of anyone that I know. Dart is about to have a massive year, and in a weak quarterback class, sure, Jackson Dart seems like almost too good of a play. So I would go get in now. I like your thinking. I really, really, really do.
So I don't have a date for National Treasures, but I do have dates for now Contenders and Select. That's pretty big. So Donruss is Donruss Optic is still scheduled here for the end of June, for June 26th. So we're still a month out from there. But then on July 3rd, the day before 4th of July, we have Contenders Optic 2023 finally making its debut. Let's look at those rookie ticket autos. You've seen the previews for them come out in Zenith as a short print insert preview. But there's your base rookie ticket autos this year. Not bad. Not bad.
Beautiful, beautiful design. Keep the rookie ticket autos simple, baby. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I like that. It's not bad. And then if you go a little bit further down, July 3rd, July 2024 to be determined. Now we're in August 2024 to be determined. We do have select hobby boxes right here. 2023. So there you go. We dates to be determined. XRCs for 2024. Throwback zebras, base field level gold. Looks like maybe field level will be horizontal this year, which would not be good for that. But color wheels do pretty good.
They do.
And look at that. Select anniversary. That's first year, 2013. I say first year Panini Select anniversary right there. So that'll be interesting. That'll be pretty hot. But yeah, to be determined on that. I'm not seeing any other artist proofs there other than those. So I don't see the different tiers. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Select this year. So yeah. I don't have a date for National Treasures, but that's what I got right now.
That'll be it for us. You can find Andy FB Card Quest on Twitter. I am at Card of the Power on Twitter, and we'll see you next Tuesday. And Hector, I did not. I'm currently not buying a whole lot of football cards because of the NCAA video football game. How much money I got to spend on that? All right, we'll talk to you guys next week. See ya.
Peace.